Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron. I hope you're having an incredible day or night in Jesus. Thank you so much for being with us. We're looking at the tension of the Sri Vaishnavas and monotheism. This seemingly, you've got Brahman, who is considered an ultimate God, but is there so much confusion about the powers of other deities, likened it to angels earlier in monotheistic religions, that it really is not monotheism? So let's get started. And we're on plato.stanford.edu, and I do want to say I am not totally sure and clear in my mind, just as a spoiler alert, of how this differs in other aspects of various other degrees of Hinduism. So I do know there's big revival of Christianity, in a sense, among Hindus, I should say. So again, while Ramanuja and his great predecessor Yamuna have little or nothing to say about Lakshmi in their philosophical writings, she plays a significant role in their devotional works. So we're looking, okay, is Lakshmi, does this say and make this particular part of Hinduism not monotheistic? So she's described as a mediatrix between Vishnu and his devotees. Yamuna describes her as inseparable from the Lord, for example, and insists that while non-intelligent and intelligent beings, including the gods such as Brahma and Shiva, not Brahman, who's considered the ultimate deity, omniscient, on and on, are only a small part of God's reality, the divine consort is the equal match of the Lord, sharing the same auspicious qualities. Ramanuja, too, claims that Vishnu and Lakshmi are eternally associated and asserts that both possess the multitude of unlimited, unsurpassed, and innumerable auspicious qualities. Now, what you're getting into here is, as many people have pointed out, Tom Weiser has that classic book, Three Persons from the Bible or Babylon, but so many others about trinities around the world. And did this come from Babylon in the sense that this was the original worship of God, or did it come from Nimrod, Ashtaroth, and Tammuz, or some other combination thereof? Could you have Egyptian trinities and all this? All of this is regarded as compatible with the oneness or non-duality of the ultimate reality, however. Thus, Yamuna, in writing 800 years ago, insists that Brahman, Vishnu, is the one without a second, who neither has nor had nor will have an equal or superior capable of being counted as a second. Now, some things you would have to deal with here is you would have the Thomas community there at Malabar, India. You would also have Islam not only spread westward, but spread eastward. So is there any of these influences here? Are there Zoroastrian influences here? We know Nestorianism was all over the place in these areas as well. So, and maybe even true apostolic Christianity. So nevertheless, a precise relationship between Vishnu and Lakshmi was left undefined. It remained for later generations to work out fuller accounts, which both respected Lakshmi's importance to ritual and devotion, at the same time protected monotheism. There are two major resolutions. So we're looking at the Sri Vaishnavas. Are they in fact monotheistic? And so we could go into Islam as well, because some people would say, you have like those satanic verses and all of this. We won't even go into that. The first is represented by Alakakara, 1213 to 1323. And I notice, like, when I'm reading these Hindu scholars, like they're all living over 100, it seems. For Lakakara, the divine consort's role is subordinate and perhaps ultimately not essential. Lakshmi plays, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing that name incorrectly, I've just read it through the years, I've not heard it pronounced, displays the three essential attributes of a mediator: mercy, dependence on the Lord, and non-service to another other than the Lord. Her ability to mediate between souls and their Lord is thus ultimately dependent on a relationship to Vishnu. In other words, Sri Lakshmi mediates not as an equal partner of the Lord, but only as a dependent and subordinate. There is even a suggestion that Vishnu can himself function as a mediator without Lakshmi's assistance. So again, this is saying, okay, this particular strain of Hinduism is in fact monotheistic. And other deities you may read about, mention, part of their anthology, mythos, on and on, don't equal Brahman. Thus, Lakakera points out that the Mahabharata, Krishna himself becomes the mediator, whereas in the Ramayana, Sita becomes the mediator. The relevance of this remark becomes clear when one recalls that both Krishna and Sita's consort, Rama, are avatars or descents, very roughly incarnations of Vishnu. Lakakara then preserves monotheism by more or less downgrading Lakshmi's status. So it did seem important to these people in India, primarily in that region, back 800 years ago, that there was only one God. Monotheism, Romans 1, seemed to have some importance to them. Then you have Vinkanatha, who only lived to be 101, 1268 to 1369, offers a different resolution. Maybe it's all the yoga they were doing. I don't know. Anyhow, it was meant to be hopefully tiny bit humorous, probably not. He does distinguish the two salvic functions of the Lord and his consort, the Lord being depicted as the Father who disciplines the sinner. Notice even the concept of sin, conscience, plays a role here, and Lakshmi as a divine mother who intercedes for him. And some people say that this is kind of nascent Mariology and these type things. The distinction between these functions is not absolute. However, for the divine consort merely brings out the Lord's natural compassion, so that compassion becomes the basis for the spiritual rebirth of the offending devotee. Moreover, and most important for our purposes, there's no real or ontological, that's very, a spatial difference, absolute real difference between the divine Father and divine Mother. Lakshmi is an inseparable attribute of Vishnu. And so that's pretty amazing, because that goes back to even Kabbalism a little bit. Since a substance and its inseparable attributes share in the same essential nature, and since one can't understand a substance without understanding its essential inseparable attributes, the Lord and his divine consort form a single reality. And this all goes back, Kabbalism brings us back to Adam, that Adam had Eve contained in him. So, long story there. There's part of me wants to go into it just a little bit, but I don't need to. Thus, whenever Bhagavan, Vishnu, is referred to, Lakshmi should also be considered as referred to. And when one offers oneself to either, one is offering himself to both, since the deity which one offers oneself is single, though it rests with two. So it'd be like saying, if you worship the Father, you're worshiping the Son also. If you worship the Spirit, worshiping the Father also, to bring it into more of a different Western context. In short, Venkatanatha preserves monotheism by denying that God and his divine consort are ontologically distinct. They'd be modes of the same divine being. So this has just been a little look at monotheism. I would say Scripture, and obviously that's the whole of truth, teaches monotheism from Genesis 1:1 to Revelation 22, and that it is the basis of the God's unfolding drama of redemption, that God became a man, Father, Son, and died for us, and died for all, and desires us to live with him. And this is lion and lamb, high priest sacrifice, one person, on and so forth. So God bless. I love you. Fall in love with Jesus. In him dwells all the fullness of the Godhead bodily. You're complete in him. Check out our other videos. We'll see you. Bye-bye.